Yang now thought the holy fire glass was strong enough. There's a ghost coming again. I eat or not. However, the name of the devil. Deny your story. I don't want to put my hand here. Just because of the treasures of the temple's illusions. I heard that and was partially relieved. In my hands, there are 60,000 stars. You just need a little more to get into the top 6. Then we can divide it into the treasures of the temple's illusions. What do you two think? It's your own business. After listening to the fire, God thought, how to be a man of the devil is famous for being cowardly. Both sides are injured, and he is a good fisherman. He looked disdainful and said the sun, with your power, they want to fight with me. It's still early. I forgive you this time. Both sides of the fire god and the devil god. They were surprised by the decision of the Holy Ghost. I stood up for a moment and said, the holy fire must stop me first. Then he and his crew moved forward. I thought I was going to see a good play. Depressed thinking back is not hard to blame. Everyone says this guy's hard to deal with. See if the news is wrong. I'm afraid there are only 3 of us. New status. To share the treasures of this illusory temple. Then he had an idea. With our Ba, joining forces to seize all Hakai tin goods. How do you feel? Sings out loud for an hour. And the holy fire here says, if you're interested, just go and steal. I'm not interested in the Ganges anymore. The name of God is amazing. The photographer here can't wait to think what's going on. Maybe the holy fire discovered the magic point of this magic civilization. It's like you can feel something. Turn around and look at the photographer. Hurry up and turn your face. Don't draw attention to him. Blood love cannot be seen through. Then the holy fire lord Kier turned away, towards the statue. The devil is still wondering. 2 pages ago, they caught me. Suddenly, you both stopped. There's no taste at all. No one can steal the stars. It feels like something is wrong. But I can't say. Yang saw the action of the holy fire glass. If you can guess, that's what Ra is. If you want to steal, let them steal. The whole space was silent for a moment. Apart from them, there are other fakes. Still buzzing because of the last action. Death is also confused with this so silent situation. Time goes by. The Fire Lord is still staring at the statue. The photographer here, he had been in front of the statue for too long. It is also true that the new Fire Lord is ever old. For the understanding of the scriptures, I'm afraid it's much worse than me. Look at this form of him. I want to stop the war in less than half a month. It basically can't be done. The devil thinks that. People are wasting time. Then he hurried off to his seat. We'll take all the chimpanzees here first. Fire God cardboard. I saw the devil disappear. Then one of his followers turned to the next saint. What should we do? Just wait like that. Yang looked a little and said, we'll find somewhere else temporarily. You should not go to the beach once. Fighting with the god of thunder and death. It must be hard to escape. See if there are any treasures in the temple. Then count the subordinates. Listen to Theo, then go Theo Yang inflammation. Suddenly, the voice of the illusory temple of thought echoed. If you had come to my temple, must abide by the rules of the temple. If anyone dares to violate, do not blame us for being unscrupulous. All the people who barged into the back of the room by themselves, quickly retreat. If there's not only the way to die, with the voice of thought. It's a powerful blast of gas. Make the fake powers have to hold their heads. The photographer is thinking now. The notion of the divine palace illusion. I'm afraid someone will break this law. Every time someone starts studying the scriptures here, he thought of all the ways to stop it. I don't know what it started. This gas is really strong. If you continue to ship like this, everyone in the back room will be killed. The devil stepped on the ground and said, "Your opponent's son is that I don't look upside down." The devil suddenly appeared behind him with a large airflow that Yang's followers screamed in pain. Call the saint. Yang also ordered his followers to retreat. But he still seems to have something to say. But we should wait. I can see how stubborn Yang's information is. The Fire Lord thought so, and so he left. Really not satisfied. Even if the reinforcements come later to get the treasure, I fear it will all fall into his hands. He's boiling blood. The three of them looked closely at each other. Neither side gave up. The photographer sees the situation as tense, and came the thought that they were controlling each other. Maybe this will be my chance. Then he turned to the dead. It is based on the power of the holy fire. Can look out. Is there blood on my body or not? Come on in. Then come in and answer. I love blood if it's so easy to see. Then it's not blood love. Except for the holy fire. You have a special animal on you. He asked the photographer back. After hearing everything, the photographer stood up. He turned towards the holy fire. He said if he took that risk, he'd watch SAO. Confident photographer, say it loud. We can destroy this civilization. The king was surprised to see that. The fire god and the ghost god must also be surprised, looking back at the photographer. The followers of God's love. I thought I heard wrong. Stupid people ask each other what. The inscription on this statue is the magic. I don't blame the holy fire. Even treasures don't steal. Solve the problem. We don't die. There are exactly 01 names that speak English. Even the holy fire can't handle it. It's just destiny. You can break this civilization. Yang also contributes knowledge here. The same age as VI. It really doesn't involve much. It reminds me of a teenager. I have met you in the forest. And then the Holy Fire Lord didn't say anything. Just look at the photographer. Then the Holy Fire Glass called the photographer over to the Kier statues. It's like going with the photographer's plan. He smiled his sinister vent and walked through the holy fire. The Lord said, I believe. You also know the concept of fiction. God bow, they don't want us to start this civilization war. I don't know what tricks he'll use against me. There's only one request. And then the photographer came up with the terms. Is to temporarily ignore the grudge first. The devil is a guy who only knows his own interests. When you finish listening, agree. Of course, we don't matter. I just came to find treasure. I don't want to target anyone. Jen heard about them. There's no need to fight. I also agree in his heart. 5 even if I can't deal with it. Back to the holy fire. The holy flame says that? We can't deal with them. Then he thought, wait a minute, 3 people. They don't care if they fight or not. But at least I have no reason to deal with it. When I was alone, I stopped doing the 8 statues. When the fighting stops. The most important statue of the war. That's the building. Next, you just need to open this civilized battle. It's just in the eyes of these people. There is no hope in opening the battle and thinking. For a moment, and then the photographer turned to the motto. There's a chance you'll find a way to leave. If we go in now, we are likely to die. But you don't have to pay attention, even though SAO can be resurrected. But the photographer still told me to carefully investigate the language. Don't bring your life with you. I was very worried about her, because I was worried about her. Willing to die first, doesn't care. What are you talking about? Even if we die, we have to die together. The phrase is so sure. The photographer was stunned, and she just realized she's overreacting. So in an awkward red-faced corner, I heard the false gods and the false gods talking. Break the French civilization. Then the idea of the illusory palace is angry. Voice, a threat. These 36 sculptures. It's the secret magic of fiction. Our god palace. Anyone who dares to kill without mercy. End the notion of the illusory palace. Blowing a strong breath. Full of murder to the fake power in the owner. They're screaming. Realize the situation is not good. Let's go back directly. There was a loud explosion, right next to the photographer, carrying a pillar of fire burning. In a hurry, he realized. Then out, the last pillar of fire was created by the Holy Fire Lord himself. The photographer thought about it, before the Civil War was broken. The Holy Ghost will be in spite of everything. To protect myself, the notion of the divine palace illusion, although the bones that hold in us the whole palace. But there's nothing we can do about these fake powers. If not, it's not intentional. Let these fake powers kill each other. Think about it and decide. No need to manage the attack of the Kier concept, then start breaking it. Then the photographer started to work. It's on the first statue. Gradually, the illuminations on the statue began to light up. The Holy Ghost saw that. I was very impressed. The way to destroy his civilization. Even I can't understand. This young man has such power. Death and death in the same place. Is it the human race or the wrong hand of the dead? If you can bring the photographer back under you. Indeed, DTO the photographer is still working hard. Min Van Battle solution. The idea of the illusory palace as feeling something. Hurry up, and I tell you to stop. As regressive regardless continue the battle solution. The Holy Ghost uses his fire to protect the photographer, no matter how strong the barrier is. The last civilization, he also received the above. Each statue in the hall lit up one by one. Make the fake powers scream. For being so amazed at the photographer's talent. And then the statues started to move. The fake powers are afraid of death. They thought they were going to be attacked, but they weren't. Under the floor naturally opens up a passage. Everyone in the room right now. I just knew that the photographer had solved the manuscript. Some of them said they'd actually solved it. It's a photographer's tunnel. It's done. He jumped down to the fire god and the fire god. Fake people talk to each other. That they've searched every area of fiction. The real treasure could be here. Let's look around a little bit. The devil has an idea. He said this tunnel in the ground. I don't know if there are any hidden traps. 2 of your saints. AI is also capable of taking all the treasures. Let's join forces. All the treasures won by 3 people. How do you hear that in your mind? Working with lovers. It really tarnishes my reputation. But in this situation, think about here. I agree because both sides agree. The holy flame also spoke. Maybe all 3 of them agree. I pulled the ghost to lock. So the 3 of us are equally divided. I heard them say there was a lack of. Speak up immediately. It's not 3 people divided equally. It's 4 people divided equally. Other fake powers find the guts too big. Not afraid of the big guys. I was stunned and wanted to drop my jaw out. This side, I was also shocked to see the photographer. Then look at each other. The devil is in total shock. All three of the representatives of the buff faction looked a little bit regressive. Everyone's face is filled with gas. Suddenly, Yang can speak to three people. There is nothing special about 4 parts. Thanks for listening to that. But there's a bit of caution in him. He thinks he values himself too. But after the discovery of the treasure but people, they will definitely fight. The Holy Ghost and the Fire God said nothing more. At this time, the devil asked. The Kier AI goes down first. The Holy Fire replied to 3 people. We're sending 10 people each. First down there to look at a little bit of Yang inflammation. And the devil saw that he made sense. So it's locked like that. Split faction song. The Holy Flame ordered his followers to descend into the occult. Find treasures by the clouds. They're walking down that aisle one by one. Just came down for a while, the loud screams, and the boxy breathing of his subordinates. They run away from each other. Down that aisle, down that aisle. Back to the owner. Some of you have no strength to run. A Leo successfully returned to the pale face. Tell the Holy Fire Glass that the saints in the occult have an organ. We went up about 500 meters. A little lost his life. We've lost so many people so quickly. No more hesitation. The Fire Lord ordered 30 more men down the occult to investigate again. Photographer to witness the heartless people of the Holy Fire Glass. Immediately recognized thinking silence people are not worth the money. People use their lives to go to class. Maybe this agency can solve it. Why didn't I just leave? Or it could reduce their power. I've sent 30 more down the aisle. But very quickly, the situation repeats as before. They're all trying to run from the bottom. Everyone is panicked. Suddenly, the whole space was strangely quiet. Then came an hour of footsteps. Then Ra is one of the retainers of the Holy Fire Glass. Alive, he came to the place. There is a huge underground palace. There are countless secrets inside, like everyone else. I just heard 2 words. The Fire Lord hurried down to see it. He ordered the false powers to go down into the occult. When they heard the order, they hurried down to steal the pumpkin. The crowd ran through, and then he pulled himself into the flow. While he was still bewildered. You see, I was in a hurry too. Death came running, but he fell. Ocean over here. He also ordered our subordinates to come in. The 5 demons also ordered their subordinates to go quickly. So how many people are going to go down there? They're screaming and rushing up. On the way down, the corpses that were left lying on top of each other. The Holy Flame came to the photographer to ask, "You are the people of the blood-loving God." The photographer didn't hide it, he admitted. The Holy Fire Lord showed partial admiration. I also want to be a photographer for myself. He continued, not thinking. Blood God Love Cup. There's a masterclass talent. For a wise man to be so skilled. Come, follow me as my servant. How do you feel? The Lord gave thanks for the goodwill of the Lord. My people are used to wandering outside. Afraid of not being your servant. Seeing for the first time, someone made the Holy Fire Glass to humble itself. Please come to my side. Then the Kier subordinates were astounded. And so is he himself. He said that, forget it. The photographer is thinking now. Just so that the Holy Fire Glass can be conscious. Your worth is enough. He will not dare to sin against himself. They're all just going forward. After a while, there was a light ahead. They rejoice, but run to the light and be damned. It turns out that the front is a magical space. They looked at each other and asked what it was. It's like they're in zero gravity. Hands and feet with. And then one of the pointers informed his accomplices. You look over there. I've seen it for a long time. What is that? What is it? Another guy said it was a rock. It's not that simple. It seems that the space over there has been blocked by rocks. The photographer soars higher, and then he almost discovered something. Before he could speak, a man next to him shouted, "No crystal battle. Look at the back." Curious people turned their eyes to the direction the Kier said. Behind the Kier stone, each ray of light through the stone gap. They discovered it was the treasure behind it. No crystal battle, that? Holy fire glass over here. I can hear the situation so well. We also look at how to solve this problem. The photographer told him, this game seems to be very familiar. Contains endless magic. Want to solve the tube-a-month solution, that? Also can't. You heard the photographer say that. I was amazed at what took so long. Yang also looked out in recognition with the photographer. The Holy Grail over here came up with a plan. Immediately tell the photographer you are here thinking of how to break the battle first. Let's send more people in to see. Photographer agrees. The Holy Fire Lord gave orders to his followers. Still do the same. 10 people on each side. The Devil and Yang are also active. What his subordinates? After all the work done by the people, the subordinates have advanced. The government is also looking for a solution. And the men who searched the rocks said, it doesn't seem like a bad thing. It's just a pile of rocks. As soon as that guy finished speaking, they were hallucinating. Plus, the movement of the rocks, it's confusing. They were surprised to ask each other, where are we on this side? Yang heard their voices. Ask quickly what happened. Then the screams started to get louder. Yang ordered them to get out quickly. The subordinates in the spirit stones were cut off. Connect to outside. The war is not seen. It can't touch the outside. Where are you? I'm going to push those rocks against them. The scream grew louder. On this side, the devil saw it and was angry. That's a bunch of crap. The photographer heard it and said it again. I think the devil is saying this wrong. It's not that they're incompetent. By this stone has the effect of mesmerizing people's minds. It's the same with the sky. If you want to get out of the ice, you have to see the weather. Among hundreds of people, there may be one person who can walk to the opposite side. That's extraordinary. I heard the devil say that. He stopped insulting his followers and asked, what do we do now? Don't you have to wait here, or what? The king immediately came up with an idea. Immediately speak up, then you send some more men. Say not. There will be 1 or 2 people who can go to the opposite side. The king continued, just enough people to go. It seems like it could be a fake. Both patriotic and ethnic. Look at each other to see who went to the front. The Fire Lord also took a look. Then point your hand to the photographer. Tell everyone he's staying here. Then point your hand to the thought and eye. He said, you 2 fish, go into battle. Chewy death escape massage. He's a little apprehensive too. Then close your eyes to the photographer. They wanted to keep him there. The photographer kept quiet and said nothing. No response found. I can't wait to agree with that. We're going into the rock battle. The title is also a little worried, but being pointed straight in the face is acceptable. She looked at the photographer as if to say something. The photographer also understands the meaning of the phrase. Please rest assured. This battle is not dangerous. Listen to the affirmation, as sure as a photographer's nails. The motto is sure. And then she's on her way. The fire god saw that, very pleased. Then out bad hand. Order your subordinates to go to the Kier battlefield. The subordinates took the order and launched the raft. Then the devil will give orders quickly. Next is inflammation. Yang also ordered everyone to obey. Go to France. Then all the subordinates of the Ba faction. They all went straight into battle. They're as numerous as the Yuan army. Some names are not careful. I just got in and was hit by a rock. The judge here. I don't know who will get out of this. First of all, it's just God's will. Then he glanced at the holy fire. The devil is standing there. And suddenly, the devil's face winced again. Then I opened my eyes and said, just kidding, if you want to stay here for 2 months. The Lord did not have the strength to endure for long. I don't believe in such a shredded system. You can lock up dead apples here. Wait another 2 or 3 months. Lao Tzu has already destroyed the battle. You just stay here and keep waiting. Let us see if we are 1 step ahead. He lost his mother of eels. Less of an opponent. Yang inflammation is also relieved, and sit down quietly to practice. The holy flame over here is silent. Hold hands waiting for the result. He looked at the 2 of them and began to think in his mind. Now only remains, there's 2 people and 1 is positive. That's much easier to handle. The screams of his followers. It's getting more and more from the ice. Suddenly, Yang heard a loud voice. Where did it come from, Brother Yang? I didn't think we would meet so quickly. This voice is so familiar. Turn your head and look at the photographer. It was he who transmitted the sound. Yang replied back. Of course, you can tell me how you want me to help you. Give me the sound. There must be something. I want to ask that you owe me a debt of gratitude. Now is not the time to give it back or SAO. The photographer replied, Brother Yang has extensive knowledge. Yang replied and asked, You can really break the ice in front of you? The photographer also answered frankly no. The surprised king. The photographer continued, I want to break the Kier. Unless there's 20 or more of them. We can't break the battle. But it's possible to go through the rock from inside. If you get the treasure back, how will I share half of my brother's inflammation? So we don't have to be kids again. Another piece of grace. What's wrong with Yang? Come up with an idea to divide the treasure. Tell me how you want me to help you. The photographer finished listening. Do not hesitate to help me stop the holy fire. I'm looking for a chance to cross the ice. The ocean answered me, but I can't kill the fire lover. But if we stop him, it's still quite possible. Then he's aesthetically pleasing, even though we didn't get the treasure. But only if the Holy Flame Cho district has. This is also considered successful. Happy to wait for this to end. We're meeting at the Northeast State House. Until then, you still have to bother Big Brother Yang to escort me out of the temple. I agree with photographer. So the 2 of them made a deal. The photographer heard that, take advantage of the opportunity to say so. The fire god was angry when he heard that. Ask where you want to go. I saw him so angry. Realize that I want to stay close. Let's look at the game a little bit. Then the photographer goes straight ahead. The holy fire is very annoying. But in his heart, he thought, don't take care of the kid. According to his practice VI, he only needs to be within 1,000 meters. We can all control at will. Once he wants to run. We can arrest him right away. He watched the photographer's every move, still going in the direction of the stone. What does he finally want to do? He's screaming too close. Order the regent to return. And then he'd fly his tentacles and grab the photographer. The photographer turned around, suddenly being called out by Yang, her strength through support. Very quickly, photographer, Li accelerated. Dodge our chance to escape. Can't catch the photographer. The glass of fire stands there. Look at Yang, wondering about his aesthetic. Why should we help? And didn't let the photographer escape. The fire god rushed to chase the stone battle. Stop screaming. Yang also rushed to chase. The eyes of the two of them touching the AI also filled with blood. The holy fire doesn't understand now. Yang inflammation is purely want to deal with himself. Or what kind of deal has been reached with Kier's little lover? Or Sao and Yang inflammation take action first. The holy fire glass is quickly dodged. The two of them started a short martial arts exchange. The power of two people is equal to each other. And then it makes a series of explosions, a lot of screaming. Thanks to Yang inflammation to keep the glass of fire, holy death. That smoothly advance into the successful battle jelly. This side, the fire god stopped the blow and asked Yang, why help him? Inflammation of the skin. There needs to be a reason to love God. You do. Of course, our fire lord is against it. Inflammation, Yang and words. The holy fire glass thought. If it's Yang, I don't believe it. What kind of deal did they have? A little love of heaven. I finally agree with Yang. What condition? That's why he agreed to help him. If we had come to this place, our mission would have been complete. Even though my subordinates are encircled in stone. Can't get out, we're one step ahead. Goodbye, Yang, whatever. The holy fire glass that hurled the rafter towards the stone. The holy fire glass saw the action of Yang inflammation, so I'm sure they have a collaborative approach. Inflammation Yang, maybe we can catch the teenager. But the sun was in such a hurry. I'm not trying to devise something. It's like she's trying to seduce me. He screamed out a contemptuous voice. If only he could break this stone. Why can't I break it? He threw himself into the ice. The ocean can feel behind. Then I realized that it was the holy fire. He thought he wanted to seduce the holy fire. He went back to the city without fear. I can't get out. According to his pride. You can't do that. On the contrary, it makes me less. I'll practice here. I'll have to see the photographer next. He sat down and started practicing. How is the photographer here? The photographer is flapping his wings around. He wriggled through the great stones in the stone battle. There's a sign and a sign below. Look up. I was fascinated by the magical scenery of the stone. But then the king returned to the horrible reality. We're locked up. We can't get out. Everywhere is rock. You can't basically sense your own position. It seems impossible to get through this battle. There is also no possibility of retreating. Obnoxious. He was locked up here, and he looked at me. What's the motto going to say to her? But I can't see you anymore. He hurriedly looked around and was stunned. Thought that the thought language was killed, then the hateful Sao came. You can't even see the body. His space ring. I can't get it either. Why did he collect 10 so many treasures before? Suddenly, there was a scream in the middle of space. Plus the sound of chewy cabinets. Where did you end up? Space ring. The scream just now is the motto. She was gagged by the photographer and dragged away. The photographer spoke with a motto that was not uttered. It will be found slowly. But this father muzzled her too tightly, that she was about to die. Out and breathe the box said. Boy, you really have no limits. The photographer replied that the situation forced me. If you don't cover your mouth, you'll scream right away. Stop saying no more. Let's go quickly. I told you to follow me. Don't leave me in the next step. I stepped on rock smoke, you must remember. He clearly told people to follow him. I'm fast again. Chasing wants to breathe. Half an hour later, they finally got where they needed to be. The photographer said success, and then really went out. Then get out of the ice. Photography and thought come first. Heaps of treasures glistening, playing in the air. The two of them looked at the letter A in surprise. There's enough of all kinds of tough gas. There are also spirit stones, pinky cat doggy. The trees have it all. Suddenly, she saw a spherical object. Light up a corner. That's the regressive approach to that spherical object. And realized that it was Nie Li show. Nie Li show retirement is a kind of fighting treasure. Extremely strong pensioner, Nie Li show, once prompted. It's even possible for practitioners VI. Higher than yourself. The ranks fall in the middle of an illusory stalemate. There's no way to escape. Even though you can't kill. But it has a special function. More enlightenment retreat. Except for the ability to charm people. It also has some magical uses. It's absolutely ancient air. And say to the motto, I'm going to collect that treasure. You see the crystal and the surrounding atmosphere. It's all recorded. She said yes, and then she flew away. Get to work now. She's absorbed in obtaining most of the treasures that are here. I am happy to talk about so many treasures. Just enough to collect a little and say it. He approached Nie Li show retirement. The closer to it, the more powerful and magical the light that comes out. The photographer was immediately swept away by the image. He was surrounded by fire with fire. But this photographer is sober. Because he knows the phantasmagoria like the palm of his hand. This illusory thing that wants to lock me up. Then activate the light in the spirit of high. A fire burns over the body. Then it's transmitted to both eyes. The photographer's eyes lit up. He reached out and caught it, just about to touch it. Then it ran away. He came out a little, then quickly chased Nie Li show. It's not that easy to run. Then he took the treasure from the mountain. To make a sutra of something, then fly towards the illusory continent. Very quickly, thousands of Lai-san Ha map created a barrier. It locks up illusions. The wind is blowing and the wind is flying around. Banging back and forth in the confines. I'm ready to go soon. Even if the spirit realm does not control. He also has a strict dress code. And then the order to collect the key. He also turned his back on Nie Li show. Then roll it up yourself. Capture back 2,000s of Lai-san Ha 2. In thousands of Lai-san Ha map. You can't get out and wait until you get out. I will slowly surrender to you. Then the photographer continued to collect treasures in the distance. There are also treasures collected in thousands of Lai-san heap. Inside thousands of Lai-san heap of photographer. It's a world of his own. There is everything. One day more objects appear. There's a whole chicken eating grass in here. Excited by too many things at the same time. Back to the photographer. There are about 500 of them. Let's not talk about spirit meteor. I'm going to clean this place up. The notion of the divine palace illusion, why doesn't it make a sound? I used to take from him a diamond. He's freaking out again. Now the opposite. It was a little strange, and he looked up. There is something in the distance. Hurry up and jump there. Where he found out there was a lot.